We now give the floor to the distinguished representative of Sri Lanka.
When we look around us, one cannot but ask the question whether our common agenda report to protect our planet and prepare for the future is given a fair chance to succeed. I implore this entire House that we think about it if we want it to succeed. Mr. President, let me say a word about future generations. Sri Lanka wishes to emphasize that the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development is an agreed framework with the goal of safeguarding the planet and its people so that it can meet the needs of current and future generations. We also believe that the principles of global solidarity, shared responsibility, and multilateral cooperation are essential to ensure the prosperity of the current and future generations. The youth of today like to see a greater appreciation of the notion of intergenerational trust by our elders. They like to see role models of a good parent, a good husband, a good teacher, a good employer, and most of all, good and fair governance in the hands of us elders. They are our future. They want to succeed to a healthy planet. They are crying for the aggression to stop. They insist the temperature be brought down. The establishment of forums and instruments to safeguard the interest of future generations should avoid duplications of existing processes and forums and enhance synergies with the existing UN system and intergovernmental organs. We request more information on the interoperability of proposed future laboratory and the Office of Special Envoy for Future Generations, and also request elaboration on the modalities for the development of a declaration on future generations. Let me say a word on climate finance and transition. The world is in the midst of a climate emergency that is exceeding our ability to respond. Recent reports from the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change stated that global warming is expected to reach at least 1.5 degrees in the near term if current trends continue, posing serious threats to health, livelihood, food security, water supply, and economic growth. As developed countries have produced the majority share of greenhouse gas emissions, the developing countries should bear primary responsibility. And also the principle of equity and common but differentiated responsibilities and respective capabilities should not be forgotten. We cannot leave a wounded planet behind. We appreciate the recognition of climate finance technology transfer and capacity building in the OCA report, but the Glasgow Agreement must serve as the cornerstone for future discussions on climate change. On biodiversity, what I have to say and what Sri Lanka notes with appreciation is the recommendations contained in the report relating to biodiversity. And finally, on the global vaccination plan and pandemic preparedness, Sri Lanka believes that vaccines should be declared as a global public good while supporting the Secretary General's plan to at least double the production of vaccines and ensure equitable distribution using the COVID-19 Vaccine Global Access Facility as the platform. Sri Lanka calls on all nations to work together to expedite universal vaccination production for the benefit of humanity. However, Sri Lanka shares the view that immunization programs should be rolled out whilst engaging with the serious problem of vaccine hesitancy. We must make sure that we never have another man-made pandemic that threatens human life and calls for an appropriate special resolution, I say, by this august body to give us inhabitants that assurance because it threatens our very right to life. Mr. Chairman, in conclusion, Sri Lanka reiterates its unwavering support and is ready to continue to constructively engage in these thematic consultations. I thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador. We now give the floor